someone and you guys switch from like messages to Snap, and okay, well, I'm not the only one that you're talking to, because why'd you switch from message to Snap? Like, we were talking on messages for weeks, so now I know you're like bored of me, I guess. I don't know. Not that I'm looking or anything. Notice his Snap score go up 300 in one night, and you know it's not you and him because he snapped you, what, 3 times? You don't want him to think that you're stupid, and like, I want him to know that I know that he got.
I knew you'd notice that.
Oh, I know that. And I knew you'd know I'd know you knew.
But I didn't. I only knew that you'd know that I knew. Did you know that?
So instead of just accepting the fact that Chad has you on standby to be a potential runner-up for a secondary backup side piece and maybe moving on to find someone who will treat you with dignity, you find that the most logical course of action is to post a video saying that you wanted him to know that you knew that he was talking to multiple women. But what do you expect him to do with this information? Apologize to you and abandon the way of the Chad? You're dealing with forces so powerful that you can't even begin to comprehend. Trust me, sister, Chad doesn't care, and neither do we.
And you confront him about it, and you're like, hey, you know that picture you sent me? I wonder how many people got that. He's like, no, it's just you. Like, I'm still all about you. I wish I could believe you, but I don't. But like, you can play at that game. I'm stuck acting stupid for the plot.
Great plan.
Thank you.
He likes your plan, Chief.
But there's no acting here. You clearly are stupid because you're thinking you're playing chess against this guy when even checkers is too complicated of a game for you. Do you honestly think that Tyrone cares about what you do? You're not gonna make him jealous. All you're gonna do is annoy him, and when he's had enough, he'll just ghost you and move on to someone hotter. If you were smart and humble, you'd let this tripe go, get off of social media, and go do something with your life that didn't involve you trying to act clever for an audience whose collective IQ is enough to barely operate a doorknob. No wonder you identify with them so much.
Personally, I don't like men. Apparently, if a guy can take you out loads of dates, doesn't mean that he likes you. Apparently, if a guy messages you every day, doesn't mean that he likes you. Apparently, if he comes to see you nearly every other day, doesn't mean that he likes you. Apparently, if you meet his parents, doesn't mean that he likes you. He's not ready for anything, doesn't want anything. Just go with the flow. The fuck is up with this society?
Do you have to ask?
I'm not gonna list off every single thing that's wrong with society, so I'm just gonna name some highlights. The invention of social media is a good place to start. Alongside the massive cultural divide between men and women, and the systematic dumbing down of our world's youth, the rise of veganism, the decline of small business ownership, the death of the 80s action movie, the emasculation of men in general, feminism, but that's a given, nose rings and piercings as well, Kool-Aid hair, and the lie that you bought that completely destroying your ability to pair bond with average men within your league in exchange for a few years of drowning your brain in dopamine, just to name a few. Well, that and the destruction of video stores. I think we can all agree that did not help society at all.
I'm sorry, I have wet hair, but like, I'm sorry. You guys are fucked. Straight up. Because like, here's me thinking I'm getting to know someone and actually it's actually going well and I'm actually really enjoying myself. Next minute, I'm the one that gets fucking humbled. Like, what the fuck? What the
What a mouth on that guy.
Well, I see part of the problem. You lack femininity. Maybe you should close your Bombay doors and stop dropping F-bombs left and right. You see, when every other word that comes out of your bechamel funnel is a piece of profanity, it is perceived as unattractive. It is not ladylike, and it shows that you lack a proper vocabulary, which in turn denotes a certain lack of class, submission, and overall intellect. Of course, this will not impede the man from enjoying himself with that foreboding sleeve of decaying waste which lays betwixt your legs, but that will only reinforce the idea that you fancy yourself as a master of diction, but that is simply because you have no grasp of the true definition of that word, or any other multiple syllable word, apparently.
And then on top of that, saying they want to be strangers, right? Saturday night, they said they want to be strangers. Kiss me goodbye, leaving my house, apologise for that. Makes out with me the whole night on a night out. And then to top it off, messages me the next day, just so they're in my new year. But doesn't like me. Doesn't want anything to do with me. Don't care. I literally just messaged them saying, there's not really any point in talking because there's not really any conversation, so I'm gonna go. And their reply was, okay, fair enough. Like, bro, you messaged me. You messaged me. The fuck?
All that I am saying is that I long for the days of the Virgin and the elegance of railway travel.
Oh, I get it. This guy didn't see things going anywhere with you because outside of a little swapping of spit, you really weren't all that interesting. You see, there's no replacement for an engaging personality. He was clearly making out with you because that was the best use for your mouth at the time, and he didn't see any point in that going any further simply because you were probably useless for that too. So he kicked you to the curb because you outlasted your usefulness with your exceedingly lack of real value. But naturally, you had to get one last swear word because of course you did. But if you truly want to get a full impact and bang for the buck when it comes to swearing, it's better off sounding like this.
You're boring! You're fucking dull! You have nothing to say! You are a one-hived mind twat waffle!
These are the bare minimum relationship boundaries that you need to set in place for yourself right this minute. The bare minimum, okay? We do not tolerate these things. Number one is stonewalling, and this means anything like hanging up on someone, inappropriate use of silent treatment. It's practically just manipulation to try and get what you want in a relationship.
So you don't want your man acting like an entitled woman. That's clearly your job and you have it well covered. Alright, that makes sense, but just so you know, most self-respecting men aren't going to weaponize the silent treatment against you. That is a woman's tactic. If he has an issue with you, he will confidently communicate that to your face. However, in the event that you try to perceive this as a personal attack, he will put his foot down assertively and put an end to your immature behavior. Because if you don't put an end to that behavior, he will leave because self-respecting men have better things to do than put up with your poor attempts at psychological warfare.
Number two is name calling. You will not be calling me any profanities. It is immature, and unless we've got some funny inside joke, swear word that we call each other, we will not be doing this as adults in 2024. Like, grow up.
Oh, sweet irony!
Jesus, woman, what kind of men have you been dating? Most self-respecting men aren't going to resort to name-calling because it solves nothing and only enrages you to the point of utilizing the silent treatment. That is not how healthy relationships work. And if you're going to enact a no-swearing policy, then it goes both ways and you will have to hold yourself to the same standard. Self-respecting men have no patience for hypocrites because hypocrites are pure idiots. What you said wasn't funny. It shows that you are going to demand a double standard for yourself where you'll be allowed to call the man names and swear when you want for any reason. Again, this is behavior that won't be tolerated, and if you're going to do this, you're going to be kicked back to the streets where you clearly belong.
Number three is any form of threat. Setting an ultimatum for someone. We need to be adults. We need to have a conversation about any sort of problem and come to a resolution. There'll be no, if you do this, I'll do that. And if you're threatening to break up with me, honey, I will do it for you. And just remember that people who are modeled healthy relationships growing up will actually subconsciously uphold this standard.
Oh, really?
So the takeaway from all of this is that you don't want men using your playbook, even though most self-respecting men have no need for your petty tactics simply because they're confident enough to lead the relationship. If you want a serious relationship, you are going to have to submit and trust that man to lead. If you're going to insult him, question him at every turn, and act like a child every time you don't get your way, then you are not capable of having a self-respecting man in your life. A lot of self-respecting men have actually gone through unhealthy relationships, so they know exactly what they're looking for and what they won't tolerate. And with the way you're acting, most self-respecting men are gonna want nothing to do with you.
You know that. Of course I do, sir. Everybody knows that. Of course we do, sir!
The relapse phase of my situationship right now, like it just ended. I'm like, oh, I'm doing well, but then like every other thought, I'm just like flashback. I just ended something with a guy, and honestly, I know it was for the right choice. We were just like not a match, and also like I wasn't being treated like correctly. Funny, because it's content, but literally help. Is he okay? Am I okay? No.
What the hell are you talking about?
Wow, this one's a doozy. Okay, I'm gonna level with you guys. My intergalactic space gibberish translator is on the fritz, so I'm gonna have to decipher what she's saying the good old-fashioned way. So my guess is that she was shacking up with a dude who didn't want to commit to her, so in her fourth attempt to end things, she stayed away from him for 3 days until she realized he was her only source of validation thanks to her inability to emotionally bond with someone. And now that the novelty of being alone is worn off, she's desperate for another hit of dopamine. I think. think? It's kind of hard to tell with all of this needless swaying.
So I was like, you know what, this is better off that this is ending, and like I wish you well, this has been fun, but like I'm so confused on the status, and like we both have mutually lost our mind, we need to stop this. Recently I'm like pretty content about it, you know, I'm just like, I know this was the right thing to do, and I'm like chatting with friends, and they're like, you're so strong, like f and I'm like, yeah, girls.
What in God's holy name are you blathering about?
Yeah, I don't need a computer for this one. She definitely is not okay with things ending. She still wants a commitment from this guy, even though he's made it abundantly clear he's not willing to do that. She wants it though because it's the closest thing she'll ever get to an honest-to-God relationship, even if all she's getting out of the deal is some awkward cuddling after a drunken night's worth of smash sessions. So she's gonna try to justify her decision by airing out her dirty laundry to her friends, who all secretly want to see her miserable. So they'll tell her that she's a strong and independent woman who don't need no man, even though they know those words are not based in any form of reality. Scale of 1 to 10. Am I getting warmer?
10.
But you know, when you end something, it's about only a couple days later. I will say like a 3 to 5 day window when you are extremely down bad. Like I'm literally rethinking now. I'm just like, nah, it wasn't that big of a deal that he didn't have money for munchkins. It's not that big of a deal that he couldn't buy her Dunkin'. Like it's really not that big of a deal. And then I like snap back into it and I'm just like, and imagine if you wanted a Boston cream, bitch. He could not do that for you.
Say what now? What now?
So you ended things because he couldn't buy you donuts. I give her about 3 or 4 days till she goes back to the guy if we're being realistic. He'll buy her some donuts and it'll be water under the bridge, and then 6 months later she'll end things again and go on another video about how she wants a real man with money so she can let herself go by gorging on all of the donuts she could possibly eat. Alright, that last part was only a half joke. She probably went back to him later that day. I mean, we're talking about donuts here. That's practically a third world currency. But it just goes to show the blatant double standards that modern women have when it comes to men. If the man is physically attractive enough, they will throw away all forms of pride and standards if it means that they have a shot at codependency. Because when it comes to a guy giving her a Boston cream, well, she's gotta have at least one standard. And that's gonna do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. As always, if you find that my particular brand of humor is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button and ring the notification bell so we can give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for checking out the new video, and until next time, peace out, homies.